hmm We are now live. Yes. Just going to give it a few seconds for Instagram to do its thing and let you all know that we're now live. But while we wait, I'm just going to introduce myself. Yes. So, you're welcome to another edition of Weducation Wednesday with Adeola Dami. I am Adeola. I'm the owner and lead planner of Celebration Events Management. We are an Ontario-based planning boutique firm. So, today I'm expecting an amazing young man, a gentleman, to join us. We're going to be talking all about wedding videography. So I'm excited about today's session. I'm going to be joined by Ryan in a few minutes. So we're going to be while we wait. Okay, good. Ryan is here. So Ryan, we're waiting for others to join, but because you know what, let's just get into it. We'll start chatting. So I am going to invite you to join me live and we can get this party started. There, you should accept it and we can start. Hey!
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, Mr. Aperture
Hey.
Lane. How you doing?
Woohoo. Oh man,
Ooh,
pandemic life as
ooh.
a small business owner. So it's a
Oh,
roller coaster, right? You have high days, you have low days,
I
and
know, I know.
yeah.
Yeah, yesterday was a low day for me.
Mm,
Yes, but today, you know what? I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and I prayed hard and I started to think about the happy things, like what am I thankful for? You
yeah,
know, we just have to keep going, right?
yeah,
I believe
absolutely.
strongly that someday soon, I mean, no matter what, I don't know when COVID is going to be over, but I believe that we're going to bounce back. I believe it strongly.
Yeah,
So,
that's what
yeah,
we're
we can't
hoping
give
for.
up. We can't give up. The wedding industry is suffering, but we can't give up. We have to, because I love love, and we cannot, whether we like it or not, this is something that God Himself has ordained.
Mm,
So, no matter what it is, we have to celebrate love.
you
Hello,
know,
everyone. Hi, Alana. Hi, KLM Studios. Hello, Mono. How are you doing? Hi, Fred Scotch. You guys, thanks for joining. Okay, so you know what? We're going to respect your time. I'm just going to jump right in. Today, we're
respect
going to be
my
talking.
time.
You
Wow.
can see it at the top, wedding videography. That's the topic.
Ooh,
And I
okay.
have with me here none other than Ryan, who is the owner and lead of Aperture Lane. So, Ryan, let's start with you introducing yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and the Aperture Lane story.
Sure. So as she said, I am the heart and soul of Aperture Lane, and I've been shooting weddings for 7-ish years now. And like videography started. Well, it was an offshoot of my photography, and it started with family, and it branched off to friends, and then to my like spiritual community. I just carried my camera everywhere, and then one day somebody was like, "Hey, you should do this," and of course, in typical Ryan fashion, other people believed in me more than I believed in myself, and I was like, no way, there's no way I'm going to do that. And then one day a friend of mine was getting married. He's like, hey bro, can you shoot my wedding, blah blah blah. And I was like,
Okay.
okay, low stakes, nothing online, sure, I'll do it. And like that kind of ignited the spark. And so it was something that started in the first couple of years part-time along with my teaching job. I used to be a teacher, and so one day, my lovely wife came to me and said, you know, we have to figure out who's going to go back to work after I
And who
finish my
stays
mat
home?
leave, yes, because we had twins. So, double the blessing, but also double the expense. So putting two kids in daycare was not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey, why don't I try to just stay home? Because you are a busybody. You need to teach. I'll stay home. I'm a homebody. I'll figure out the baby thing. Thank God they're
That's
still
awesome.
alive. They're healthy. And yeah, and that was when kind of like it started to pick up because I was like, oh, I think I like this thing. And um, a lot of people at this point say I haven't looked back, but I've definitely looked back a couple times, especially in 2020.
Yeah.
Just,
I
but
hear you.
we're still here. Yes, yeah, we're
I
still
hear you.
here and we're still shooting weddings and yeah, still loving it.
I'm very proud of you. I follow your journey really closely, and I saw the beautiful. Despite the pandemic, you did have some beautiful work that you did in 2020. I wish there was a way to
Thank
show
you.
it, but Instagram doesn't allow you play like the videos. It would have no sound and all that. So
Oh,
that's why I
okay,
didn't
okay.
ask you for footage. But guys, this is Aperture Lane. Follow him. And just you'll see the beautiful thing. So we'll get into more details about highlights and
Oh
feature
yes,
films and
oh
all that.
yes, yes,
I have a
yes.
list of questions here for you, so I'll go in
Oh
order.
boy.
But before I
Okay,
start, there's something that dropped in my spirit as you were speaking, and I just want to say it.
okay.
Because you shared how you started your journey into videography, how it wasn't really planned. That wasn't really, it's not like when you were young, you said, what are you going to be? And then,
Yeah.
but you kind of fell into it. So I just want to encourage somebody out there. A lot of us have our stories, right? We started
Mm-hmm.
doing one thing or the other, and now we are working in our blessing. We're working in what God has called us to do, or whatever. We're
Mm-hmm.
working in our purpose,
Yeah.
in our gifts. So if you don't know what it is yet, don't worry. It will find you. Whatever it is,
Oh,
it
it
will
will.
find you.
It
Okay?
will.
So I just wanted to share that. I don't know who I'm speaking to, but somebody catch
Ah,
that.
hey, this is your platform. Let them know.
All right, so Ryan, so can you tell us my first question? Can you walk us through the prep work? What is actually involved from your perspective as a videographer, cinematographer, to prepare for a
Mm,
wedding? Because I find that not every couple understands what actually goes into preparing for their wedding day. Can you tell us a bit
right.
about that?
Sure. I can share a little bit from my perspective on like what we do. Um, I, I I don't know what everybody else does, but I can definitely like let some of the things will definitely overlap. But for me, like the prep starts a couple months before the wedding. So I start sending out information to my clients to help them prepare for the wedding day. So I start sending them information about speeches, information about getting ready in the morning, scheduling that kind of stuff. And then a month before the wedding, I like to have a follow-up meeting, and so that's where we iron out the final details of the schedule. We ask questions like, "Hey, so is there anything we need to be aware of? Any crazy aunties we need to avoid? Anything like that, right? Like sometimes the bride will want to surprise the groom or vice versa with like a dance or something, or I have a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Please capture that." And so that's when we
Those
get those little
details.
exactly. And so we're getting those details, we're getting set up, but I'm also giving feedback because a lot of times they might do the schedule or the planner might do the schedule, and we realize that we may need more time for certain things, and
Yeah.
so we'll suggest changes. And just small conversations like, hey, if we run overtime, what are we doing? Are we going
Yeah.
to pack up or are we going to keep going? Because I hate having that
To
that
leave
money that money conversation on the day of the
on
wedding.
the
So
day
I
of.
exactly. So I try to have that conversation beforehand. That way we're just going. We're not going to kill the vibe and that kind of stuff. And so after we do that, I'm planning logistics with my team. There's always at least one person coming with me, so it's either figuring out rides or giving directions and addresses and planning when everybody needs to get to where they need to be. Yeah, so lots of communication. And then the day before the wedding, usually the day before the wedding, unless it's like we have a back to back, we do or I do equipment checks. So be
Mm-hmm.
checking all the cameras, charging our 15 batteries that we bring to the wedding for our cameras, making sure the lenses work, having enough memory cards for the day,
Yep.
packing the lights, having all the cables, because, like the last thing I want to do is go to a wedding and realize,
You don't
oh
have,
no,
you forgot something.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
Or
exactly. And
you're out
so,
of, or the memory card is full and you have to run
exactly,
out to buy it. So I don't think that's
exactly.
another aspect that people don't get, like all those little details when it comes to
Yeah,
videography.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. So I'm gonna move to the next question because we still
Yeah,
have
yeah,
a
go
few,
for
and
it.
I really want us to hit. I don't want us to stay too long today, but I
Yeah,
want it
no,
to be
that's
like
okay.
impactful, but
Ooh,
short
yes,
and
yes,
sweet.
short and sweet. Yeah.
And when I say short, you know what I mean by short.
Yes, yes, yes. Like 40
Okay.
minutes short.
So you know what? I just for me, I'm just curious to know. I hope you
Hmm.
can shed light. So people say wedding videography, wedding cinematography. Is there a
Hmm.
difference between videography,
Hmm.
cinematography?
Oh, that's a contentious question.
Okay.
So no, that's okay. That's okay. I'll answer it. So when you say like videography is, for at least from what I understand and from what I get, is the general art of capturing videos,
Yeah.
right? And and so like on the surface level, yeah, it's like, you're capturing videos, but and then cinematography, from like the classic
Like
meaning
a
of
movie.
cinematography, is like movies. Yeah. So the cinematographer in a movie is someone who, helps to decide the look of the movie, helps to, like, manage the lighting, and, what's in the shot, what's not in the shot, how people look.
Yeah.
And so when you transfer that to the wedding world, they have different connotations. So
Mhm.
cinematography usually connotates like higher quality, very
Yeah.
well put together.
Hmm.
And then wedding videography can be that too. It can be like a general term, but it doesn't necessarily have the same oomph as
I know.
cinematography.
Another
But
thing to add. Sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, I was going to say, but as vendors who are trying to talk the language of our clients, we
Hmm.
often use them interchangeably, and especially we use wedding videography because that's the word that clients use.
That they
Especially when
understand.
you're trying to
Yes.
get that, search engine optimization, we use videography.
Yeah. I was just
I
gonna
hope that
add.
helps.
I was gonna add that videography can be one person.
Yes,
For
yeah, yeah,
cinematography, you can't capture cinematography with one person. You need a team to get
yeah.
that
Usually,
cinematography feel and
yeah,
look, because you're trying to capture
absolutely.
multiple angles. So that's
Yeah,
another thing. When people say, "Oh, I want my wedding. I want the cinematography," but they only want to pay for one videographer. And I'm like, okay, what exactly are you asking for, right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah.
go to the next question.
Okay, okay,
So let's talk a little bit about the getting ready phase, because that's one of my favorite times, and the
okay.
most is the most, oh my gosh, there's a lot that goes on in the mornings, or if it's afternoon,
Mm-hmm,
whatever they're getting ready, the couple.
mm-hmm.
So can you just, do you have any advice? Because I don't want to take this over, because I can talk for days about the getting ready
Yeah,
phase.
yeah, yeah, of
Any
course.
advice for brides and grooms on how can they help you as a videographer capture the
Hmm.
best moments and the best memories for them?
So when you say the getting ready, are you meaning like just the morning, or like anything before the wedding?
You know what? You can answer it in any. It can be. I'm talking more about the getting ready, like the morning, all
In the
that
morning.
stuff.
Okay.
But you
Okay.
can
Cool.
add
Cool.
as
Cool.
much as you want. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. No. I mean, so kind of like what I alluded to in one of the previous questions. Like one of the biggest things is schedule. And so if we don't have enough time, then like it's going to be harder to get the shots, right? And so sometimes couples, like they book a certain number of hours, and then after everything kind of falls into place, they realize,
Mm-hmm.
oh, we're
It's
gonna have
not
to
enough.
spend less time. Exactly, we're
Yeah.
gonna have to have the videographer do like a flyby film, like come in, click, 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 and then go. Like so time is so important. So making sure that we have enough time. Usually for the groom, we need maybe half an hour. Like grooms are pretty low maintenance. Sorry, brides. That's I
It's
mean,
okay.
and
You're
and
being
then and
honest, so
then
that's good.
yeah, and then for the bride, and again,
Ooh.
you could do the bride in half an hour, but it wouldn't do justice. I usually tell my brides like 45 minutes minimum. An hour is kind of like, it's very comfortable, because with groom, I tell them, hey, when we get there, shirt and pants on, we're gonna document all your accessories, your shoes, maybe get a couple shots with the guys. Boom, we're done. With the
Yeah.
with the ladies,
Ooh.
some of them don't want to be seen without makeup, so we have to time it that the makeup artist finishes when we get there, and then there's the dress that needs to be done, then there's accessories. Sometimes the ladies may want to do a reveal, that kind of stuff, right? So, you know, there's a few more moving parts. I would say let your family or your entourage know that we're coming.
Yeah.
I've had times where like I roll up to the door and they look at me like,
Who are you?
yeah, who's this
Why are
black
you
guy at our
here?
door?
Why
Like,
are you not ready?
yeah, exactly. And so just let your people know that like we're coming, so that you know again, and so also because we're coming, make sure everything's neat. Have a designated area for bags and crap, and then have an area where people are getting ready. Because because like, and I learned this from a photographer that I used to work with, and like I remember one wedding, he stopped everything. He's like, guys, I'm not
Clean.
shooting anything until we clean this room. And
Right. Because
I
it's all
hid
going to be
behind
in the
my camera.
footage.
Yeah, exactly,
All that,
exactly,
no. We don't want to see all
exactly.
the
So,
lingerie and all the, pajamas and all
right,
that stuff and your
right.
hair bonnet on the bed. We don't want to see that.
Yeah, yeah. We're
So,
not we're not shooting any lingerie unless they pay for the rated R version. So,
to be
um,
honest, one of the things that I tell my couples during the rehearsal, I actually prep them. And I say, okay,
mhm,
ladies, tomorrow, this is what we're going to do. This is the schedule.
exactly.
Maid of honor, whatever, you have to clean the room before before I even get there. I
Yeah,
don't want to see no
exactly.
dirt, right?
Yeah,
Now I'm gonna
yeah.
read some comments came in while you were
Go,
talking.
go, go,
Now I
go,
know I
go.
can see some of my people here. BC is here too, so you guys, you can please chime in. You
Hey,
can put questions in the Q&A box for Ryan. But I'm gonna read something here because I had that same feeling when you said it. When you said half an hour
okay.
for the bride, I'm like, ooh, no. So weddings with Nia saying you need extra time for the bride and a half an hour. No way. I 1.5
Absolutely,
hours is
absolutely.
what she's
And
saying.
so, and so half an hour you can do if the bride has no interest in like all of the fine detail shots. Like I've had brides who are like, listen, I just want a couple shots of the dress and I'm good. But yeah, typically, yeah, 45 minutes
To
minimum. And like,
clarify, because I want to make this very crystal clear to those who will be watching
hmm
this later. So Ryan at Aperture Lane, they shoot multiple ethnic weddings and Caucasian weddings. Like he pretty much
hmm
does a lot of multicultural.
hmm
So if you're watching this and you're African like me, yeah, then
yeah,
you
yeah.
triple that time, or actually
Of
quadruple that
course.
time.
Well, yeah. For you know, like African wedding. Well, I don't want to say African. That's kind of reductionist. But like, I know for like Nigerian weddings, I can speak for
Okay.
those specifically. Like, yeah, at least an hour. Usually, I say an hour and a half because usually,
Okay,
like,
let's not go there right now, okay?
usually. Somebody's not where they need to be, and
Oh boy, don't worry.
I love my
I love my
Nigerian
people.
weddings,
We're
but
working on it,
yeah.
okay? We
Oh
that's
yeah,
why
yeah,
why
yeah.
we educate each other. We're working on it.
Yes, yes,
Okay, so
exactly.
they want to know how can we find Ryan's what's your website? Someone's asking what your website is. How can they view your work? So you can check him out on Instagram at Aperture Lane. I don't know why
Mm-hmm.
Instagram changed this. Before you could pin someone, but now you
Yeah,
pick
yeah.
one, either a topic or pin, and I put the topic.
Well,
So,
well, we can share some posts
yeah.
at the end of it and
And
let
you
them
can
know.
check my post too. I tagged him. So Aperture Lane, I'll put his website as well so you can find him, okay?
Right.
Okay, Nia's asking about mannequins for the bridal gown, styling the shoes. She says she actually preps the night before. Your photographers
Mm.
and videographers will love you because that's awesome. That's
Yeah,
actually a
yeah.
good thing to do. Okay, Ryan, let's move on to the next question.
Sure.
So he's already shared things you should do for the getting ready. So guys, keep the room clean. Timing is important.
Yeah,
Communication is
yeah.
important. Make sure you let everybody, your aunties, uncles, whoever's, if you don't have a planner, let them know. The photograph and videography team are coming, so no
Yeah,
surprises.
yeah,
Now let's
exactly.
talk about. Now
Have
there's
food too.
something that you do. Sorry.
Have food too.
Oh yeah, please feed them. feed your vendor team. I keep saying that. It's very important. Okay. A happy tummy makes for happy photos and footage. Okay,
Exactly.
there's something that Aperture Lane does that I really love, and I think I've
Ooh,
told you
what's
this
that?
multiple times. I
Okay.
love watching the highlights of the speeches. I love
Mm-hmm.
how you capture those moments, because a lot of times people, it just flies over their heads, right? Or they
Mm-hmm.
have that
Mm-hmm.
moment and then they forget. But then when they
Yeah,
go
yeah,
back
yeah.
and they watch their video or their highlights or whatever, and they hear those
Mm-hmm.
words that were said. So can you give us any tips on speeches, the do's, the don'ts, how to make sure those moments are captured properly and have
Right,
a
right.
memorable time?
Okay. Okay, before I jump into that, I would just give context. So what Adeola is saying. So our style is like when you search for wedding videographers or when you watch, you're going to see many different styles. And actually, I'm going to talk about this next month in Wednesday Wisdom. Wednesday Wisdom. So, but there are styles where it's just music and it's like a montage. There are styles where it looks like a music video. It's very fancy editing. And so there are styles like mine, and I'm not the only one who does this, but it's very like based, very story based. So we use a lot of audio from the speeches and from the personal vows if you have any, and honestly any really meaningful words, because
Mm-hmm.
we want to build a story that is it goes beyond the trend of the music,
Yeah,
because you use a song and in 5, 10 years it's not going to be cool anymore, and you're going to watch your wedding video and you're going to hear the song that you're like, some people might look back and be like, wow, what was I thinking? But we want to give you something to watch that will be relevant many years later. And so it's not centered so much around the music. The music will be there, but it's more centered around the story of what everybody's saying. And
yeah,
so for that, and for that style to be successful, speeches and vows need to be good. And they don't need to be Toastmaster level, but they need to be intentional.
yeah.
So I would say keep your speeches short, unless you're a really good orator, like try to keep speeches short. I tell my brides to tell their people 3 to 5 minutes, but then allow for extra time, because
So
usually,
we tell them 2 minutes because we know they're gonna
yeah,
triple that time.
yeah, exactly. And so that varies from culture to culture. Like, like I'm going to be frank here. There's some cultures you say 5 minutes, they're done in 4.5,
Yeah.
and there's some cultures you have to tell them two, and then they go for 10.
Oh God.
So
Yeah.
so that comes in the conversation of asking about their family and that kind of stuff, right? I would say you don't have to follow the traditional formula. So typically they say, maid of honor, best man, parents, and then bride and groom, and that's kind of like your standard. But what if the maid of honor is not eloquent, or what if
Yeah.
and so you don't have to have those exact people talk. Like
Mhm.
maybe there's another person in the wedding party who is
Oh,
funny and who can have meaningful things to say, or maybe there's somebody, and I've had brides who've done this, where there's somebody who's not in the wedding party who's
yeah,
spoken,
like a
but they
sibling
had
or yeah.
exactly, or like an uncle or something. And so those are good. So think outside the box. They don't have to be those people. So find people who are confident, who are eloquent. Humor is always good.
Good.
People who know the bride and groom. I have people who come up and they're like, I'm your aunt from, 10 years ago, and I haven't seen you, but I'm so happy. And it's just like,
Okay.
we don't care, like, and so no reading, definitely no reading. You
You
like,
don't want them reading
you,
the script, the speech from the
no,
script?
no.
Hmm.
I mean, okay, it's some people can do it, but it's few and far in between. Like I would recommend point form, or memorization, just because, like, if you remember back to high school when your teacher told you you have a presentation and you cannot read the presentation. Why? Because you're going to
Point
be
form.
reading your board, yeah, right? And so another thing I would say, two more things I would say is not too many speeches. So I would say six.
Yeah.
Six is kind of like a happy place. If you're going more than six, they better be really good, because
Yeah.
people are going to get restless.
Oh, very short.
Um, yeah, exactly. And then tell stories. Like, there's a reason why, the slogan that we use is stories bring us together. Like, every time when you get together with your family for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and you sit around a table, what do? you tell stories.
Tell
And so
stories.
stories are and this is something that even science has shown that like it's something that the human brain does when you're telling a story. It just like the attention's there.
True.
It works in this different way. And so tell stories. Tell stories about when the groom first met the bride. Tell stories about how you knew, they were going to be the right one for each other. Tell stories of blah blah blah. But stories are the backbone of really good
Good
speeches.
speeches. Wow, that's very good. You've given some really good tips. I think for any grooms or best mans that are worried about how to write their speeches, those tips were good. That would help you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask a quick question. It came up while you were talking. I've had
Sure.
issues where I would get a highlight reel and the
Mm-hmm.
music it's good, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
copyright, or I don't know. Like, so can you give us any tips, any advice as to how to pick the right, yeah, I like that note too. How to pick the right kind of music, because usually we ask what music do you want, right? And the couple will say, oh well, this music means a lot to me, but then you can't upload that to YouTube or you can't share that on platforms. Any
Absolutely.
tips?
Yeah, so different videographers have different policies. And so you will hear, you will see videos with like, top 40 music with, Afro beats in there. And, technically that is copyrighted music. And so there is no copyright police going around checking wedding videos, at least not yet. But it can happen. And so, um, as a way to protect my clients, I do not use copyrighted music. We actually have different curated libraries that we pull music from. And so when our couples say, hey, can we suggest music? I can, so here's my answer. My default answer is you can suggest it, and that will inform us on
What your
kind of like
style?
what your taste
Yeah,
is and stuff. But the chances are we're not going to
you're
use
not
it.
going to use it.
Because,
Okay.
yeah, exactly,
Makes
exactly.
sense.
And
It's
so,
good that you do that, because I feel like we need to
mhm,
say this, because some videographers don't know, especially those who are just starting. They don't
yeah,
understand that
yeah,
it's not just about putting music behind that highlight reel or whatever, because they may not be
mhm,
able to use that highlights
yeah,
on a public
exactly.
platform like YouTube, for example,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
exactly, exactly.
So, because I still have some questions here, by the way, people. Hey, I see you all. Thank you all for coming. If you have any questions for Ryan, and by the way, they're loving you. They said great tips, great tips, great tips. So thanks, Ryan.
Hey,
Okay,
okay,
so I want to go to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart, and something that's
okay.
very, 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 very valuable for right now that we're still living in this pandemic. With our
Mm-hmm.
weddings now, we're really going hybrid. I mean, I'm preaching, and actually, I honestly, I want to say 99% of my
Mm-hmm.
clients are doing a hybrid wedding. For those who don't know what
Right.
hybrid is where you have certain number of people physically present, and then you live
Mm-hmm.
stream your wedding ceremony, reception, or whatever you choose, also to
Mm-hmm.
your virtual attendees. So can you, let's
Yeah.
talk about live streaming. I really want to
Mm.
hear your tips, your advice, because I've been talking about this and I want them to hear it from a pro.
Whew, let me sip this tea first.
I think I need a drink too.
Whew, wow. Okay, so live streaming is so funny. Like many years ago, people would be like,
What's that?
why you live streaming? Like, why you being so extra? Now it's like, oh no, should we live stream? And so, okay, so, um, let me organize my thoughts here. Like, so I
Should I
think,
guide the conversation, or
no,
you
no, no,
got
you
this?
know what? You know what? Why don't you cut me off? If you hear something that you want to develop on, cut me off. But
Okay.
I'm just gonna just say what's on my mind, and you can go from there.
Okay.
So live streaming is interesting because now that it's become more like it used to be the side thing where like a handful of people can be there, or somebody, the bride was moving to another country, so the family can come. So it would just be the side thing. But now that it's becoming a part of the culture of weddings, I think there needs to be some etiquette built in around it. Um, a lot of times people will have live stream. And so what you imagine when you see a live stream or you hear of a live stream is like a phone and someone's walking around and it's really shaky and stuff. And and you know, imagine the people on the other side. It's like a roller coaster for them, right? It's like it's really shaky, it's blah blah blah. But also, I think what's even more jarring is that the audio is really bad. You can't really hear what is being said at the podium. You hear like people talking behind you, and so, you know, as Corona has forced us as like wedding professionals, especially videographers, to kind of step up and research
Yep.
and learn live streaming. And so last year, I had a chance to do a couple of live streams, and so so to kind of work through some of the technical aspects, we would connect one of our professional cameras to the computer workspace, and I kind of give the guests that, you know, that a more crispy kind of
Crisp,
video
clean.
experience.
Yes.
And so they can like zoom, we can zoom in too, like they get the zoom lens, and so they can see things. They're not just stuck at the back behind someone's head. And then we would also connect the audio feed that we're getting. And so the same audio that we're
Directly.
recording, yeah, so we run it directly into the computer, and so that way
They can
it's
hear.
if we have a, yes, exactly, if we have at least one clean angle and a clean audio feed, that is great. Now if we can take it higher and offer multiple angles, we'll do
Yes.
that, because it's like, I get it. Like you can't be there, and like, you know, you can't see the bride's face as she's walking down the aisle because the camera is behind her. And so sometimes it's nice to have another angle, or during the speeches, or sorry, not the speeches, the vows. Like, it was good to, you know, see different things that are going on. And so whenever we can, we offer that, but not. And this is, again, this is something we'll talk about next month. Is not every wedding is live streamable, right? Like sometimes, like there's space factors. You know, there needs to be a good internet connection.
Network. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. There needs to be power, because most of those workstations require power, right? But I think, and this is something that you alluded to a few like a couple months ago, and I actually noticed it too, being a guest on a live stream, is that some of our live stream guests end up feeling like second
Yeah.
class guests.
They're not enjoying the process at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah. And
Like thought,
so
more thought has to be put into it. You
exactly,
know?
exactly. And so we did, and so after, you know, after doing our first one, we kind of sat down and really thought through how to make things better. And so we did another one last August. And so I had one of my team members, Reva, she moderated the live stream. So when the event was about to start, we sent a message to let
Yep.
people know we're going to start. She was monitoring the computer in case people had
Yep.
questions. You know, she was, and so they're not getting abandoned at the back of
No.
the room. And so she's like be able to communicate with the guests and just let them know what's going on. At the end, we did send a survey, but no one filled it out. But
They
whatever, you
hardly
know.
do.
Yeah, they
Especially
hardly
if it went
do.
on too long and they're like
Yeah, yeah,
ready
exactly.
to go.
But one thing I think couples need to do is, after the ceremony or whatever segment, come and address your live stream
Oh,
guests.
thank you.
Like, come say hi. Like, come say thanks for tuning in. Like, you know, because I think, again, like, you could use YouTube or you could use Zoom. Like, I like using Zoom because one, everybody's using Zoom. Like, everybody at this, you know, 11-month mark in the lockdown has used Zoom at least once,
Yes.
and they're familiar with it. But also Zoom is two-way, very two-way. Like, they can talk back, the couple can talk back. So after the ceremony, you just come by, say hi to a few people, just
Yes.
invest, and again, put that comes back down to scheduling again. So scheduling 15 minutes just to kind of say hi to everybody in Zoom. YouTube is two-way-ish. Like, they can type, but they can't talk. And I
Yeah.
feel like it's more special if they can actually use their voices. So that's why I use Zoom, but the quality of YouTube is generally better. But I would rather have that personal connection. Plus, like,
And you
we
can do
are
the
like,
two actually. You can actually
yeah,
stream from Zoom to YouTube and even Facebook.
yeah, actually, yeah, you can. Yeah, I would rather invest in having couples like have that connection with their other guests and have a slightly better quality. Plus, we are recording everything on our cameras anyway, so it's not like they're going to have that's all they're gonna have for,
Yeah.
you know, their stuff, right?
And another thing that I feel is, at least from my couples from 2020, that the feedback I got is they love the fact that they don't even have to wait for their actual video. They can go back and watch the recorded, the Zoom,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
kind of, enjoy, although it's long and it's not edited, but they like it. And they get to
Oh
see
yeah,
all the
for
comments
sure.
from the virtual guests. So live streaming,
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
this is the world we live in right now. And I don't see
Yeah,
this
that's the
going
world.
away. I feel like it's here to stay,
Yeah.
because now we realize that grandma from China can be logged in, and Uncle Bo from the US can attend, So I think this is something that's here to stay. So people, get it right, hire a professional, stop using your phones and calling it a Zoom wedding. That is not a Zoom wedding. That's a phone wedding.
It's a phone intervention.
Yeah, it's a phone intervention. Another thing, actually, Ryan, I want to add to what you've said, because again,
Sure.
you
What's
gave
that?
a lot of content, but for those who are watching this, one of the reasons why I always advocate for using a professional and not just getting your auntie or your friend or your best friend to hold a phone or hold a laptop is that the videographers have equipment that you don't have, like the gimbal. Please, can you tell them what a gimbal is and the stabilizers and all that stuff?
Yeah, sure. So like we have equipment that will kind of stabilize the camera, so like the movement won't be like
Yeah, like that.
like it's it'll be very smooth and that kind of stuff. And so again, tripods that keep things very steady. Yeah, you can have all that equipment, but it's also just a skill too of knowing how to compose a shot, like how to put the person's head in the right part of the camera, as opposed to composing it like that, right? And he's like,
Dre's
right?
laughing, but it's true. That's what I was a guest at a Zoom wedding, and I had a headache. I was like, "What is going on?" Okay, I understand. I'm a little extra. I'm a wedding planner, so yes, my expectations are higher. I get it, but come on.
Yo, have your expectations
high. But come on, no, the expectation was not even quarter met, not stuck of half met. Like I now started feeling bad. I'm like, I should have helped them. Oh, I should have. But again, this is my job, right? So hey.
Gotta let them know, right? And so, people everything's available. It just depends on what people understand and know, right? And so it's just taking the time to teach everybody every week and just being like, hey, this is what you need.
Yeah, and hopefully they listen. I also find that, again, and you might be able to shed more light on this because you work with multiple cultures. Do you find that with most of your Caucasian clientele, is it a question? Like they just go, yeah, we need this, and they go with it? Or are you finding that certain cultures, they would haggle if they need it, if they should pay for it? Oh, maybe don't bring a team. Can you do it yourself? Like, are you experiencing that? Your answer will be no, because of your clientele. Your clientele is more high end.
Here's the thing. Yeah, so here's the thing. I have a clientele that's very diverse. So I don't really find a correlation with a certain type of people. Even some of the stereotypes, Nigerians are late, and I have Nigerian couples who are they're on time.
Yes.
I have even in January, I got into the bride prep, and I was joking about, oh yeah, Filipino time, and the bridesmaid was like, no, nope, that's not right. And I was like, yep, you're right, that's not right.
Yep.
And so it really depends on kind of the clientele that you serve, and so I try to kind of target certain clientele that kind of values the service more. And in my early days when I started, I would advertise on Kijiji, and so of course all kind of stuff. Yeah, and no offense to the Kijiji brides, sometimes there's some gems in there because they just don't know where to look. But generally, wherever you set your roots is that's what will come. And so there are people who kind of is there any way to make this less? But generally I find couples they take it as it is, and they'll book it, or they'll say, no, it's too expensive.
Yeah. Okay, so that brings me to my next one. By the way, thank you everyone. Oh my God, Grace, stop it.
Can't fire you if you show up late.
But
she probably would.
Already, right? You're there already.
She probably would.
Some hot, I'll light up your
Hey,
behind the lips and
yes,
then.
heat up your pants.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about something that we need to talk about, which is the post. By the way, they like your teacup. The
Oh,
post
thank you,
wedding,
thank you.
post wedding deliverables, and the editing process. The reason I
Oof,
wanted us to talk
wow.
about this is because
Hmm.
certain couples don't understand what it takes.
Right,
Why does videography cost what it costs? Why do,
right.
in fact, some couples, well, not my clientele, but before, I remember many years ago, some of my brides
Hmm.
then will say, oh, we don't need videography. Now, the
Right,
clientele
right.
that I attract, they know that videography is important. In fact, they know. If you're coming to me, if you don't have
Hmm.
videography, we have going to be having another a
Yeah,
serious talk. But anyways,
yeah,
so
yeah,
can
yeah.
you talk about the post-wedding deliverables, the editing process, and
Right.
then that will bring us more into why is it that you charge what you charge?
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. I think, and this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. Um, so for many decades, photography has been the thing of weddings, right? Like you get wedding, you get wedding, you get engaged, and one of the first vendors you think of is your
Photographer.
photographer, right? And so like your parents have pictures on the shelf, and so it's all photography, right? And so when your parents had a video, it was Uncle John with the camera walking around the hall, probably with a light on the front of the camera, and it was just very raw, shaky, and so our generation grew up seeing that as wedding video.
Mm.
And so wedding videography has evolved a lot. And so around 2009 was when like things started to kind of like get serious for wedding videography. And so it's been a few years in coming in breaking that perception of like wedding video is this kind of like some guy is showing up with a giant studio camera on his shoulder and and so I feel like wedding videographers sold themselves short at first to kind of get into the
To get
market
in,
because
yeah.
people didn't understand the value. Now I like 2009, so this is like 11 years later. I feel like now they're starting to like now people are starting to understand the importance. Um, and so now videographers are starting to get the confidence to be like, okay, so now let's charge according to
What will
this. And
work,
so
yeah.
exactly. And so there's a lot of work that goes into videography. Videography I is very expensive to admit. I'm not going to argue I'm not going to argue that's the most expensive because I'm sure like venues are way more expensive and higher edges and that kind of stuff, like they have a lot more costs, but like video equipment is very expensive.
It
Like
is.
I roll up to a wedding with $40,000 to $50,000 of
Woo! If I
equipment.
take your gear, I can become
Yeah,
rich.
if you take my gear, it would be a very and again, it's not so much about the value of the gear, but it's really a testament to that,
Yeah,
right? And so you're shooting this wedding, you know, most videographers shoot on multiple cameras. We shoot on 3 to 4 cameras for the day. How long do you think it takes to watch 6 hours of footage on 4 cameras?
that's a
Right?
lot.
And so we have to sit down and watch everything
And
all
then you
over
also
again.
merge. I don't know how you do it. Like, so you take camera one, the vows and the angle, and you
Hmm.
merge it with camera two. Like,
Hmm.
that's a lot of work.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so we have to watch all that footage again. So if your wedding was lit, yeah, we have a dance party. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So
Yeah,
if your wedding was lit, we have a dance party again.
yeah,
If it was bad, then we have to relive that again. And
yeah.
then now you wait, I am frozen, so I'm gonna stop and see
I can
if
hear you though.
oh, you
Just
can
keep
hear me?
going, because
Okay,
sometimes
okay.
the
You're
Wi-Fi does
you're
that.
you're
Yeah,
freezing, so I'm just gonna pretend
yeah,
that you can still hear me.
I can.
So then we do that. So then the editing, you have to cut everything together, find music, all that stuff. And so for me to put a film together, which is about my longer films average between 10 to 15 minutes, it can take 20 to 30 hours.
Wow.
Um, cutting, sorting, rendering. Rendering is like just making the video kind of like processed to look the way it's supposed to look. Exporting, uploading.
Ooh,
We have unlimited internet because like these giant files go up on the internet every day, right? And yeah, so it's about 30 hours to do one film,
that's a lot.
not counting the time that we spend beforehand, again, with the above mentioned
That
equipment preparation, meetings, the the 16 hours that you're spending on the wedding day, not just shooting the wedding, but getting there and back. Yeah, it can be like a week and a half worth of work
oh wow.
for one wedding, right? And so we have to charge accordingly because we can't, be charging $500 and then like doing like
You know,
like 60 hours of work, right?
I once told a couple. I said, you know what? I would rather go work in McDonald's, which I wouldn't. Again, nothing against
Mm.
McDonald's, but I've come too far in my life.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've said I'd rather go work in McDonald's than take that, like what they offered me.
Mm.
And it's the truth. I think people don't understand that weddings are expensive. Weddings are not like
Weddings are
baby
expensive.
showers. They're not
Yeah,
even like birthday
yeah,
parties.
yeah,
So if you're getting married, if you know you want like a wedding, you want to bespoke wedding, what you see on Instagram, they're ready to pay for it. You want
yeah.
that beautiful image, that highlight reel, which that's my next question. So what is the
Mm-hmm.
difference between the highlights and the extended cuts, the raw footage, all of that? Because a lot of people
Mm.
now would say, oh, just give me a 2 to 4 minute highlights. I'm good. I don't need
Right,
the
right.
extended
Okay.
cuts.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Before I jump into that, I'll say this. Getting married is cheap, but hosting an event is expensive. And
Okay.
and a lot of people think that like it's your God-given right to have a wedding, so it shouldn't be expensive. But no, like getting married is you can go to
You
City
can go to
Hall,
City
pay for
Hall.
your
Right.
your marriage thing, and you're married. Boom, it's under $200, right? So hosting an event and having the posterity from that's expensive. And
Yeah.
so we got to set that apart and help people understand that yeah,
It's
it's
not
not getting
cheap.
married that's expensive. It's the event.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the deliverables, so let me put some terms here. Raw footage. Raw footage is everything that comes directly from the cameras and the mics, anything that records, that is unedited, untouched. A lot of vendors call the long form of your day raw footage also, which is I think is a bad choice of words because it can create some confusion.
Because it's
Because
not
if
really raw.
you yeah, it's not really raw because if you offer a long form of speeches and ceremony, it's edited. Someone has to go in and put it together. Even though it doesn't have music and fancy transitions, it still needs to be edited. Like we still need to sit and watch it
Yeah.
and cut the angles together, right? And so like in my practice, we call it the extended cut. But I mean, if you're a client walking around talking to different vendors, you want to say something like, "I want the long form of my ceremony or reception." That will be clearer, and so they'll ask you, "Oh, do you mean like you want speeches, your cake cutting, your ceremony?" Then you'll say, "Yes, that's what I want," and whatever they call it, they will offer that to you. And then of course you have the films. Like that's the thing that everybody loves. That's what gets the views on Instagram, and that's just what you watch when you just want to relive it really
Yeah.
quickly. You don't want to
Quickly.
spend 2 hours in front of the TV. You just want to watch the 10, 5, 10, 15, depending on how long the video is, right? And so everyone has each of those have their advantages and disadvantages, right? Like raw footage is like you get everything, but the disadvantage is that the sound is not connected. So you unless you have editing experience, that's not a good thing for you to order. The long form is good, I think, because it offers posterity. It means like you can look back at it, and so you're not. That's not something you're going to watch all the time. But one day when your kids grow up and they ask, "Hey, what was your wedding like?"
Mm-hmm.
I have the long form. But also in some cultures, they love the long form. Like
Yes.
I know South Asian cultures, they love the long form.
My
I'm sure
Nigerian, the
West
parents and
African, yep,
grandparents,
yep,
they're like, what do
exactly,
you mean?
exactly.
45 minutes? We want the whole thing.
Exactly.
I want to see where Uncle
Exactly.
was praying. They want $1 on my head, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. They want everything. And that's fine. Like I tell them it will be recorded and you will pay for it. Like it's not something I just throw in, right? And then of course the films, kind of what we've been talking about, that's where we kind of condense it down, kind of get, kind of just refine it, right? Because you think about a movie or a documentary, you shoot a movie for a year, and then the movie ends up being 2 hours, right? And so that's the kind of the same idea of just trimming everything down, getting the
Okay.
essentials, making it nice and tight.
Okay. So because I want to speed this up because I said it was going to
Yeah,
be
yeah, no
short,
problem.
but we're
No,
51
no,
minutes in.
we like to talk, so
So
it's
I
going
hope you
long.
guys have been enjoying this. I'm just gonna ask you. So right now,
Mm,
do people still request DVDs, Blu-rays, all that stuff, or is it all just
yeah.
mostly online right now?
I mean, I don't offer it, so I don't get requests. I haven't sold a DVD in like 5 years, and I think we need to kind of transition away from saying, "Oh, my mom needs a DVD." Maybe you need to teach your mom how to, you know, or maybe you need to put the video on your mom's iPad, or because DVDs are like they're a thing of the past. Like even the software to make them is like really hard to find. DVDs can crack, they can get scratched, they can get lost. If you go digital, you can access it anywhere you have
Anywhere,
internet. You
anytime,
can
with
share, you
multiple
can
copies.
download it.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So digital is the way. I don't make DVDs anymore. And like I think my clients, like to this day, like a couple got married 5 years ago with me, and they're like, "Hey, we don't have our thing," and I was like, "Don't worry." I went into my archive, and she had
Okay,
it.
shared it to them. Well, that's good
Yeah.
to note because I think I had a request 2019 for
Ooh.
DVDs from parents.
Mm.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I don't know. I'll find out if he does that. So I guess it's about educating them. It's more the
Yeah, you just
parents
gotta
that ask for
educate.
it. It's
Yeah,
about
and like and
educating.
like and like if you love your parents so much and you're so grateful for them,
Get them an iPad.
then get them an iPad or teach them how to or put it on their computer for them. Like we gotta help because you you don't hear people asking for VHS anymore. So let's
VH
take that
what?
same VH
Don't give
exactly
away
like
your
my
age now.
it's my kids saw a normal like phone with buttons,
Yeah.
and they were like, "What is
What
that?"
is that?
And I had to explain to them that they had physical buttons. So it's the same thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay, that's good to note. Well, to wrap this up, I'm gonna ask you. I just want to end this on a light note. So,
sure.
is there any juicy details, anything funny that you've ever caught while you've been going through the edits and trying to edit? Is there anything that you come across that you're like, oh, okay, that you want to
I
share?
mean, well, in the art of editing, you always want to make people look the most flattering, and like I've had lots of times where like a bride was given like side eye to somebody during a speech, and you have to like, oh, using the other
Remove
angle,
that.
you know. I remember in my first year, so we did this wedding, and up in I forget, yeah, it's anyways, it doesn't matter where it was.
Doesn't
So
matter. Yeah.
dancing is happening, and then the groom's mom was dancing, and the best man came up to her, and I kid you not, he grabbed this woman and flipped her. Like, and she had a long gown, and as the flip was happening, I was waiting for the dress to just fall
Fall.
down. But it didn't. I was like, like it had enough momentum that
Yeah.
the
Enough.
dress just
Just
stayed. Yeah. And literally she's standing, flip right back. And I was like, you're kidding me. So I put it in the film.
somebody had one too many drinks.
Yeah, but I mean, thank God it didn't turn into a flashing, but
Yeah. I think for me, my experience, and I was really mad at the videographer because I was like, why did you not cut that out?
mm,
Was they were he caught the MC
hmm
saying something inappropriate about somebody else.
Uh-oh.
So, and he didn't cut it out. It wasn't like on the microphone. Like the person was talking to somebody else, and of course,
Oh, it was on the side.
Off the side, but it ended up being part of the. It cost.
Oh, no.
Oh gosh, yeah, because I didn't know until it was brought to my attention.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah. So I mean, so that's just to state that videographers do a lot. You know, it's not just about showing up with the camera. The whole editing,
absolutely.
the time, even the knowledge to know what to cut out and what not to. You said something, I can't remember what you called it, about there's a word where you correct the lighting resolution.
Like rendering.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what it was called. I have hired a videographer before who gave me the footage not rendered. I think is that how you say it?
So it's not color corrected. It was just kind of like not color corrected. Yeah.
So that's the difference between a pro and an amateur. So guys, you get what you pay for. Some of my darling vendors are here. So you guys, I just love the team that I've been working with. You guys are amazing. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Ziggy's here. Thank you, BC from
BC. Hey, BC.
Everybody, you guys have been amazing. Thank you for coming on. Thank you to my planner friends that are here. Nia, Moziwa Events, thanks for coming on. Hi, Tope, I see you. Everybody who, Tope said, document those memories. Video hits a different spot than photos.
It hits different.
Yes, so I agree. So thank you all for coming to this. Hi to my team, Wura, everybody. Thanks for coming. So we're going to wrap this up. I just want to say thank you to you, Ryan. We've been talking about this live forever.
Oh my gosh,
forever. We made it work. Today, February 10th, 2021. We've done it. So thank you so much. I hope you all learned something. Feel free when I save this to share it with whoever you feel will learn, from everything we've shared. Ryan, I just want to say thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, as well. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everybody. I see some of my clients on here too. Thanks, guys, for coming on. Yeah.
We'll everybody. Thank you also, Mr. Dre. Yes. Bella Full Official, Kathy. Oh yeah, there's some people here I don't know, so they must be from you. Angie, how are you? View Beginnings, 360 Events. Everybody, thank you. It's okay. We're gonna wrap it up right now. Have a good evening, everyone. Love you all. See you all next week for another weducation. I'm Adeola Dami, Celebration Events, and that's Ryan from Aperture Lane. Thank you all so much. Bye.
Bye.